Hello and welcome back to Pong. Today we're going to be doing a video on 14 very common mistakes that are killing your forehand potential. I'm going to go through all 14, I'm going to list why it happens, as well as how to fix it, and some other things. So, I know I haven't been posting in a while, but I have been training in Sweden as well as coaching in Sweden, and I am now back in Texas doing a lot of coaching. And I feel like this video is very necessary because I've come across some new mistakes that people have been making, especially when it comes to making really good forehand loops. So that's why I'm making this video. And so let's just jump right into the first one and get back to it. Alright, so mistake number one, and this one is a real killer. I noticed it while coaching a few players, and primarily it comes when they try to make really good forehand underspin loops. And the fault is that they are bending at the body. They're bending the side of their body instead of rotating their hips and bending their legs. And it's kind of funny because it works. It actually helps them to loop the ball up onto the other side of the table. The problem with this stroke or this technique is that there is no possible way they can ever create an amount of power that will do the opponent any damage. So it's super important that not only are you bending a little bit at the side, but you're also kind of turning your hips and your core and squatting with your legs so that you can rotate and kind of blast up through the ball. You don't want no shoulder dip, or you don't want to use none of that. Like, it's important to use a little bit, otherwise you would look really stiff and you wouldn't really be able to get underneath the ball very well. So there is a little bit of shoulder dip involved. You just have to make sure that it's not only shoulder dip and that it's not excessive. So the next one, it's kind of almost in the same vein as the last fault, and that is that I see a lot of times the hand is making a really big backswing and the body is not getting in a nice loaded position, meaning there's no hip turn, there's no shoulder turn, and there's no legs kind of squatting into a nice powerful position. And the only thing that's really being swung is the hand is going swinging back and swinging forward. And a little kind of interesting fact is that, like, when you make a good swing, there's not really much hand swinging that's going on. It's actually mostly body turn. Like 90% of the backswing is a good body turn. It might look like a really big swing on YouTube when you watch good players, but it's actually mainly body rotation that's creating this really big looking swing. So a really good way to practice this skill or learn this technique is to do the Japanese spaghetti drill. And so basically what I do is I relax my hands and my arms, and I only use my body to kind of whip my hands and my legs. There's a proper sequence that needs to happen in order for a powerful swing to be made. And so this relaxation technique, to feel the arms being thrown by the body, is a really good way to get the proper sequence. And then you kind of take that into your normal full swing. So the next one we're going to cover is after you've made a really big, good, strong loop, not being able to make a second follow-up loop. And this usually happens a lot of times with adults versus kids, and it usually happens with adults that I'm training and they're new to the sport because they learn the technical side and they learn how to make a really good forehand loop. And adults are usually very strong, and kids are kids, and adults will make this really great loop and the ball will come back really fast and they feel like they have zero time to get back into a nice position to make another loop. And so consequently they end up kind of blocking the next one or being really off balance for the next one. Whereas kids, they might make a really good technical loop, but their power isn't so high, so the ball comes back pretty slow and they're able to just kind of keep on looping over and over again. And this problem is maybe easily fixed. It comes in two parts. The first part is that you need to make sure that after you make a good loop that you're finishing in balance. If you didn't finish in balance, there's probably something wrong with your technique. The second part is being able to reload very quickly back into a strong position. And this is the skill that needs to be learned that good players have that low level players don't have. The skill is that you have to be able to reload very quickly back into position. So what I'll do with my students, I'll get, using a robot or multi-ball, I'll feed the balls really quickly to one location, and I'll have them make really strong loops and focus on getting right back into position so that they can make multiple loops back to back. And so this is the skill. It takes core strength, it takes leg strength. A lot of people have the strength, they just need to practice it in order to do it in a match or in practice. And I like to do multi-ball or balls with a robot because they don't have to worry about missing then, they can just work on the skill. And so the next one, it's kind of a little bit similar to the last one, except this one has to do with how fast the opponent is hitting the ball at you. And what happens usually is an opponent hits the ball really hard at you, and a lot of times I see low level players, if the ball's coming fast, they feel like they need to go fast, and fast equals a lot less control. So the real skill here that needs to be learned is that even though the ball is going fast, you don't have to go fast. You can stay calm, make a little bit more shorter, more compact stroke, and the name of this skill is that you decide how hard you want to swing, or you decide how hard you want to hit the ball. You never let the opponent decide how hard you're going to swing, and just make sure you stay calm through the shot, and that'll really help to give you a lot more control when it comes to playing a game and they hit the ball hard, staying relaxed, making a nice clean compact stroke, using the energy that they give you against them. Okay, so the next one is using your legs to adjust for the height of the ball. A lot of times in the match, we're playing top spin with our forehand or our backhand, and the ball is coming to the right height, and then sometimes the opponent maybe hits one a little bit less energy, or it kind of hits the table and doesn't kind of go as high as you might think it should. And you've taken a nice backswing, but the ball's a little bit lower than you expected. And the real way to make sure you get this is to bend your legs a little bit more so that you can kind of get underneath it to get the ball up. This is the fastest way to be able to adjust for low balls, is to bend your knees to kind of get underneath it. And along with that, it's very important. I told you in the beginning of the video that I was going to talk about the forearm, opening and closing this forearm. It's super important, and this is also what helps you get underneath the table. If you can open and close this area of your arm, automatically you can see I'm a little bit more low, and I'm able to kind of get the ball up. And then if you combine that with the ability to bend your knees when the ball goes a little bit lower than you expect, you're going to be in a really good position to adjust for those low balls that happen periodically in matches that can really throw people through a loop. This next one was actually a problem that I had, and it was Peter Carlson, European champion, Swedish guy, great coach. He was the one who kind of showed me that this was something I needed to learn in my game if I wanted to keep improving, and that was that I had fast feet and fast hands, or fast body. And basically this was destroying my consistency. He said, Seth, you're either 100% on everything or you're like 50% on everything. And what does this mean? This means that I was moving slow and hitting slow, or I was hitting fast and moving fast. He said, I need to move fast and hit slow so that I can have that consistency and learn how to adjust for each ball and all that stuff. So this skill, it's kind of disassociating the feet and the hands. So how do we learn this skill? And the skill is that you set up a robot, or you have multi-ball, or you can even do it with someone blocking. And you just do like a simple 1-2 drill. You work on hitting the ball slow, but moving your feet really fast. And this skill will really help you in games, because covering a lot of ground with your feet but being very controlled with your hand is a great recipe for being able to place the ball well as being very adjustable in matches. So the next one is a common problem I see with beginner players who are learning how to forehand loop and then start moving and incorporating the forehand loop with movements. And the common problem is that they move their feet well, but they don't move their body into a position where they can loop the ball. And what do I mean by that? I mean, they move their feet and then they try to wind up and swing, where at high level, high pace games, you don't have time to move your feet and then move your body into position. It needs to happen simultaneously. So as you're moving, you need to kind of wind up and get ready for that forehand loop. That's the skill, is that you need to be able to move and wind up at the same time. It takes a little bit of practice, but shadow practice is probably going to be the best bet to help learn this skill. You can have someone say, move to your right, move to your left, and you can practice kind of shuffling over and making sure while you're shuffling, you're loading in and getting a good backswing so that you can make a really good technical loop through the ball. So the next one is a common forehand moving mistake, and it happens when the ball is a little bit shorter and the player has to move in to hit the ball. And the proper movement is with the left foot. You want to take a nice step in with that left foot and kind of drive through the ball. And a lot of times I see the mistake is that they put the left foot in, but they also kind of throw their right foot in order to touch the ball. And sometimes they don't even put their left foot in. They just throw their right foot in order to hit the ball, because that throwing the right foot in will get them closer to the ball. But what's the problem with this? You might get good power as well with the bad technique, but the real problem lies is that you're not adjustable for the next ball. If you throw the right foot in and they make a block back to you, you have to move the whole unit of your body back into position, and usually you're not able to get another forehand loop in. So you're probably going to be stuck taking a backhand. So the correct movement is to learn how to step in with that left foot and then make the shot, and make sure you keep that right foot back. And you can program this with like a robot, or you can do it with multi-ball. You can have the ball come in a little bit shorter, and you can just practice making a nice step in with that left foot and making sure the right foot doesn't swing in and kind of destroy your ball for the next one. So this next one I've seen a few times in my coaching career, and it's that the player kind of places their hand back to make a backswing as opposed to kind of swinging it back. And as you can see, when I just placed my hand back, there was nothing happening with my body. If you swing the racket back, you're naturally going to be taking hip turn, you're naturally going to be opening the shoulders, probably even getting your legs in a strong position. So I think it's really important that when you're making forehand loops, you don't place the hand in the backswing position. Rather, you kind of let it kind of swing back into position. I know in the past I've talked about placing it to learn a certain position, but that's to learn a certain position. I think once you've learned where you want to put the racket, it's very important that you kind of let yourself swing into the position. All right, so the next one I'm going to cover is the elbow raising above the hand as they take the stroke. And this usually happens because of two things. Either they didn't have good coaching, or they bought a racket that's really fast, very quick, and they go for that topspin loop and the ball goes out. So they start closing the angle down and they start kind of hitting the shot and trying to get the ball to stay low, and they start raising their elbow up. And this kind of starts happening, and that's not a very good thing to happen. So usually I tell people you need the elbow to finish below the hand and the hand to finish up over the eyes. And a lot of times the complaint is, hey, Seth, if I finish up over my eyes, that ball is going to be all the way forward and just way off the table. And the answer to that is that yes, at your current trajectory, yes, it'll probably be off the table. The real secret is how far in front of your head you finish your racket. So if I'm more vertical, more close to my head and finishing up over my eyes, the ball will go very high. Okay? If I finish more forward and I have this space and I'm finishing over my eyes, the ball will have a lower trajectory. So you get to choose how vertical or horizontal you finish over your eyes, and that'll change the trajectory to something you more desire. So this next one was a bit of a weird problem I had with one student, and it kind of came out of a good thing that it was done too much. Too much of a good thing became a bad thing, and that is that they were creating too much side spin, that when the ball came back, they couldn't handle the amount of side spin that they were creating that was coming back. When they first started, they were really trying to touch the back of the ball, and they were trying to really hit it straight. And so I said, okay, in table tennis it's fine, we're humans, we swing in circles, and we don't hit exactly on the back of the ball like a robot. So it's okay if you touch a little bit of the side of the ball and, you know, get a little bit of side spin. That's okay. So he was hitting a little bit on the side, and it became too much side spin, and the ball started kind of curving in back, because when I blocked the ball, it still had his side spin, and it just became more and more and more weird. And so how do we fix it? Well, there's two kinds of parts of this. One is where you touch the ball. So on the right side, the back of the ball, or even the left side. And learning to touch different places on the ball is good. You should learn how to adjust your wrist so that you can kind of touch different places. And the missing piece that people really miss out on is swing direction. So I can swing from the right to left, and I can touch on the side of the ball. I can touch on the side of the ball for all of these. I can swing from right to left, I can swing from back to forward, and I can also swing from left to right, and I can still touch on the side of the ball for all of them, except each one of these will have a very different outcome in the placement of the ball, as well as kind of the spin direction. So learning how to swing from the different angles, from left to right, from right to left, from back to forward, learning the skill of being able to swing for those will give you options to place the ball differently, as well as deal with certain spins that come in, and it'll really help you to gain control over your ball. So the next one, and it's kind of a little bit similar to the last one, they're cousins, they're distant cousins, and this one is called the advanced push. And this happens, you know, when a player learns how to play, they kind of start pushing the ball, and then a coach or a player says, hey man, you gotta spin the ball. And so they start kind of learning how to make top spin, but this push action really never leaves them. And I've even seen pretty high level players, up to 2000, where they kind of still swing, but they're kind of always pushing in this motion. And the real problem is that their elbow needs to go back. Their elbow needs to go back. And that kind of triggers more of a rotational speed as opposed to kind of a linear speed, which is definitely what we want to do. Is we want to rotate our body and kind of throw the racket. And the only way to kind of do that is if we stop getting this elbow in front and kind of pushing, and we kind of pull it back, and we're able to kind of start swinging and even starting to hit on top of the ball. Now you can hit on top of the ball with your elbow back, or you can also open your angle and hit on the back of the ball. So you have options as you know, how you want to touch the ball with your racket angle. The real key is that you're really learning how to rotate through the body and kind of use rotational power as opposed to linear push power. And so a really good drill I like to do for that one is I like to get rid of the net, and I like to have them get that elbow back, and I really want them to finish on top of the ball. Start to learn to rotate, get that elbow back, and even hit on their own side of the table and finish up over the eyes. And that really starts to help them get out of this kind of pushing swing, and it really starts to get them to kind of start swinging over top of the ball and making really good powerful swing. That's that huge ability to create speed, is this ability to use rotational power as opposed to push power. Alright, so that's the video. I hope it helped you guys. Maybe you were making one or two of those mistakes. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you learned something or have any questions. Maybe I can help you in the comment section. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.